Hello, I'm Susan Jane and welcome to Kim's flower reading. Now, Kim has sent me this flower and I believe it is to do with her new business. It's a new therapy center she's looking at. So it's a barn. She's changing over this beautiful old barn into like a therapy center. So I think she's doing, what did she say? So I've had so many since then. She is doing like yoga and different things, retreats and different things like that in this beautiful center. So she wanted to get a bit of an understanding of it. So I was talking to her about flower readings and she sent me a flower. I said, I'll give her a flower reading about her business or her new venture is what I'm going to put. So this is the flower that she chose. Intuitively, of course. So let me see if I can get that a little bit bigger for you. Oop. Yeah. Come on, we can do this. Okay, this is the flower. And of course, it's the beautiful bird of paradise. Now, I'm going to go through this flower for you, Kim, and I'm going to do it step by step. And I do it that way so you get a good understanding of what it's about. You also get an understanding of flower reading and how people can do it and how it looks. So I don't need to go through it step by step. I could just start to bring out this information to you. But my biggest goal is not doing the flower readings. It's actually helping other people to learn how to do flower readings. So that's what I want to do. And that's why I step through it so you get an understanding of it. So the first thing we look at with our flower readings is our motivation. What is motivating us to do this? Now, when we look at, so you're creating this lovely environment, like a safe environment for people to gather, and it could be spiritually, it could be emotionally. There's different reasons why we want to gather, but that's what you are creating. So the motivation behind it, we look at a landscape image or a portrait image. Now, you've got a square image, so you've got a balance of both landscape and portrait. When we go into it a little bit deeper, we look at the portrait image as being a very, very positive aspect. So there's two ways to be motivated, in a positive manner or in a negative manner. Now, neither of them are right or wrong. It's just how we are motivated. If we're motivated for positive, it means we're sort of looking for something that's going to make life better for us. And we're looking at something that we want to do, we want to enjoy, we want to achieve. And that's what motivates us. And they show you how motivation works with it. If you've got a big wall in front of you. And some people are motivated to get over the other side of the wall just to see what's on the other side. And then other people are motivated to get on the other side of the wall because they don't like what's going on this side of the wall. That's that negative context to it. So when we also look at that, so the portrait is a real it's a real individual focus. So can almost get a little bit selfish, but it's very, very individual. And sometimes we need that. The landscape, is more group focused. It's more community focused. But again, it has that negative connotation. And when I look at it, I go, well, often you'll see something negative happening in the community and you have this motivation, this desire to be able to help them. And that's why we look at it as a community as a negative. Usually when you want to help the community, it's not because the community is going well. It's because there's an issue in the community. There's a negative situation in the community that you want to help. I know with my talks, with where I go, I often talk about abusive relationships, especially emotionally abusive relationships. Now, that's my drive. That's part of my passion. Trusting my intuition, trusting and teaching people to trust their intuition. That's my drive. That's my passion. And I do that because I saw how negative it was when I didn't trust my gut, how negative my life was because I didn't move from that. So again, the negative isn't a bad thing. It's just how we are motivated. And often when we're sitting there in our homes and enjoying life, we don't need to be motivated. Sometimes we don't have that motivation. And sometimes it doesn't happen until the wheels fall off, until something negative happens, and it makes us move forward. It makes us change and motivates us to grow or change. So Again, that was just an explanation of the two. You probably need to know all that. Sorry, Kim. Yours is a balance of the two, okay? Being a square image, it is a balance of the two. So when we look at that, what your goal to achieve this venture, it needs to still have that individual aspect to it. It needs to still feel good for you. It still needs to achieve things for you. If it's not going to achieve what you want out of it, don't do it. Okay, it still has to achieve those individual aspects. But in the same token, it's still there for the community to help fill a gap, that you may see in the community. So make sure you get that balance right. Make sure you've got that. Because if it's all about the community and you're giving all the time and you're not receiving something, it's going to wear thin. And vice versa. If it's all about you, I am pick me, and it's not about the community, it is too going to wear thin. Okay, so make sure you've got that happy balance. And that's what's motivating you. There's going to be times there when you're motivated by helping the community in that context. And there's going to be other times where you just want to go, hey, maybe this is for me. And that's going to motivate you. That's good. That's cool. Easy peasy. Okay, sure. The next bit is the perception. So it's the size of the drawing, size of the drawing. It's the size of the flower image, the subject, I call that. So it's not how big the picture is, it's the subject inside the picture. And when we look at this one, we can see that this picture just fits in, okay? In fact, it probably just doesn't fit in. So it is very much a close-up. You think about a bird of paradise, you can have it quite a distance away. You can even see there's another flower going up here in the background. So it is a relatively close-up. But in the same token, it does fit generally on the page. So it is quite balanced and quite in the center. So what I'm saying with this one is if it's a real close-up, a really strong close-up, and the flower is really big compared to the image itself, the subject is big compared to the image itself, then we're more of an extroverted. It's more of an extroverted aspect. Now, this is definitely not an introverted. It is more towards the extroverted, which means to achieve this goal, you're going to need to be a little bit out there. Okay, you're going to need to put yourself out there and not be a wallflower. You just can't sit in the background and expect it to happen. You're going to have to be out there with it. Okay, so it is more towards the extroverted side of things. Now, that's also fine because there's a lot of extroverts in this world. In fact, there's more extroverts than introverts. But this isn't in your face extrovert. So you don't need to be in people's faces and saying, I need this done. But you do need to have the finger on the pulse. You do need to be upfront and there to make sure it gets done. Okay. This is not going to get done in the background. This has got to be something that you've got to be really proactive in. Really extroverted in, but not over extroverted. Oh my God, don't do that. Okay, so the next part is the path or the journey, which is the stem. Now, when we look at the flower image, we can go in different ways here because we know what the bird of paradise, the stem or flower journey is like because we can see it in the background from the one behind it. However, with your actual image, you don't have a long path or journey. So what this is suggesting to us is that it's there. It's, you may not have the complete setup there. You may not have it exactly how you want it, but you've actually got it there. And that's a bit like, oh, yeah, right, I have to because the barn's already built. Duh. So, it's really saying that it is there, it is ready to go. Yes, you will have to do some work to it, but we know that your actual path or journey is there. And so you've only got this short aspect towards it. So just getting that short bit, and that may be things like council approval. I don't know how it works in America, in Australia, as you know. So, but we have to have council approval when we're changing things around. So there might be little legalities like that you need to look at and be aware of, okay? And seeing it's in that color, I will talk about that again in a minute. We talk about colors in a minute. But because it's got a different color to what your normal stem would have, there's a reason behind that too. So that's why I've gone legalities, because the red sort of goes, make sure you get it right. Make sure you're covering yourself off. And that's that journey just to get to where you need to go. So that's that side of it. Now, the next thing we look at then is we look at the shapes, and they're our behaviors. Now, obviously the shapes here, we will have the stem as a shape. We can have the petals as a shape. We can have the heart center as a shape. We have all different areas there that we can refer to as shapes. Now, the longer and elongated shapes, the straight lines, things like that, they are all of a masculine behavior. Now, it's not male, it's masculine, because females have a lot of masculine in them. Males have a lot of feminine. We're the yin and the yang, we need to have the both. It's how we put it forward, though, is what the behavior is like. So rounding, softer aspects are more of a feminine nature, okay? But with this image, there's nothing feminine in it at all, okay? Nothing. You might have a little bit of a feminine aspect there, but basically it is masculine. You think of a daisy, you think of water lilies, all those flowers, most of those flowers are round. This one is not even close to being round. So very, very masculine. And when we look at that, I see that as you need that real go-getter attitude to get this done. You need to be, I don't like using the word aggressive, but at least be assertive. And there might be times when you do need to be aggressive, especially in this time here where it looks like it's sort of a little bit broken. I know it isn't, because that's the style of the flower, but those pointy areas there, like we're going, it's got to be on point. It's got to be there. I would be saying with these, you have to have good structure in this business, good structure in the actual physical side of things, and good structure in how you want to take this forward. Really structure it down. Go down to, if you want to rent it out for weddings, go down to if it's only going to be held for private occasions, really get some structure around it, because honestly, this business that you're creating is not going to be it's not going to attract the soft and fluffy, okay? It's not going to attract the soft and fluffy. You may hold events in there that are soft and fluffy, but how you get that there has to be very, very well thought out, really very, very structured. So when we look at those behaviors, everything behind that is really, really strong in the masculine behavior side of it. So very, very clear, very, very distinct, very strong. And make sure you get that all down there. I'd really love to see a business plan. That's where I'm going with that. Really get a business plan down on it and get a good understanding of it, because you need it. Okay, you just need it. I'll get back into that in a minute. Okay, so the next bit we're going to look at, because we're going to go back into the behaviors again, because we will go back into the flower. The next section I want to look at is your guides. Now, your guides are your leaves, all right? And that's probably the most feminine aspect you've got there, okay, is that leaf there. Now, we know the bird of paradise leaves are long and elongated. We know that. We know they're very masculine in behavior. And yet this image here, it shows it as more of a feminine aspect to it. And we go by what's in the image, all right? Because your intuition has picked this image. So we go by what's in this image. Now, when we look at leaves, when they're high up, now you've got leaves in the background here. Obviously, there's green in the background. When they're high up, they're of a spiritual nature. When they're down low, they're of a physical nature, Oops, hang on. I'm pointing to my screen, wrong screen. When they're up high, well, let's start that again. When they're up high, they're of a spiritual nature. When they're down low, they're of a physical nature. When they're to the right of the image, then they're in the future. When they're to the left of the image, they're in the past. Now, this one here is towards the future. It's at the bottom. So it's more of a physical guidance that you're going to get of a feminine nature. So a bit more gentle, not a bit more nurturing. The nature it could be. It could even be something like this reading, because it's got direction, it's got action, it's got a little bit of strength in it, but it's still nurturing. It's coming to you from a loving space. It's still nurturing. So that could be something like that, but I don't feel it's that. I feel it's somebody else that's going to sort of help you and just give you that a little bit of an aha moment. It's in the background there too, so they're not right in your face. They're behind you. And when I say behind you, it's just got that lovely support behind you. It's like somebody you may have already known, but they're not coming forward yet. They'll come forward a bit later and they will go, oh, I know somebody who did that, and this is how they did it. That might help you. So that's the sort of thing you're going to get. This other blurred green in the background of this more spiritual stuff, there's going to be like the little downloads that you get, the intuitive messages that you get coming through. You'll be in bed or you'll be in the shower or something to that effect, and you'll get these little aha moments just coming through. That's all in the background there. Okay, so you're going to be getting that from those guidance there, and they're not of. We can tell that those leaves there, or that green behind it, is not of this plant. So they're not connected with you. So it's definitely more of a spiritual nature, definitely more of those messages coming in, coming out. And even down here, you might find they're not of a spiritual nature. They may be information that you receive on Facebook. You're scrolling through Instagram and somebody does something. Wow, I like how they've marketed that. Or, oh, look at that. Here's a group and they're talking about this and they're talking about that. So you're going to get that in this physical aspect here. Okay. So you're still getting all that information. You've had some lovely guidance this way. This is more masculine. You've had some lovely guidance there. That's a leaf. And that's in the past. So somebody has given you some information that you need to hold on to. That's good quality information there. It's funny too, because when I look at this, so we know that this is your flower image for your barn. But when we go, oh, what's this one? This is actually going to be in the forefront because you're looking at that. But while you're doing that, there's something else developing in the background there. All right. So whatever you're creating here is allowing, hang on, I've got it in the right spot, is allowing something else to develop and something else to come forward. So there's more there. There's more than just this. But this is your focus and this is what we've got to look at. But there's more coming. It's actually going to create something else. It's an offshoot, for want of another word. Bigger as well. But anyway, this is your guides are your leaves. I keep getting off track. Sorry, I do apologize. Next bit is your petals. Now, the petals are of attraction. Okay, so we have petals of attraction. What I don't have in most of these is I don't talk about the calyx. Now, the calyx is this bit here. It's that protection. You often see it on roses. You know the little green parts at the bottom of the rose? That's the calyx. That was originally covering the bud, and then it opens up and comes through. Now, you know that this here was all protecting the flower before it came out. So we call that the calyx, and that's a protection. It's a protection that you have when you're creating your goal, when you're trying to get your understanding of it, you know, how you're developing your goal. So you've had a lot of protection on this. And I see that as protection or support from family, from those that are close around you, that are just supporting you as you go. And whatever happens here, now I don't know whether you've seen an old bird of paradise, but what will often happen here is that you will actually get another flower come through this, but your support will always be there. Okay, so this might not be the be all and end all. There might be another one coming, but you've always got that support there. The bird of paradise never loses that support. Okay, but a bit like the Australian gum nuts, they turn to wood and they're always there. The difference with the gum nut is that they can be very restricting because they do turn to wood, whereas this won't be restricting. This will be just supportive all the way through. So you've got that lovely support there. Not many of the flowers will have that. Now, again, we go back to the petals. Sorry, so I told you I go off track. The petals are petals of attraction. When we look at that in a business side of it, I look at the petals of attraction as your marketing tool. When we look at this in your petals of attraction, again, we go back to how distinct they are in their structure, how particular they are in their numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 down here. So when you start to do your marketing, when you start to look at that side of it, or your attraction, how you're going to attract people to the event or to the build, if that's where it is, or even to, once it's built, the actual events that you're holding there, or just attracting people to get that understanding. You're going to have 4 main areas and then this other area. Now, this other area, I would almost see, and you've got another little one there, I would almost see that as family, extended family, that side of things. Whereas I see these as very, very distinct. Now, they're upright. They're really out there. They're masculine. It's like, pick me. You've got to pick me. Have a look at this. I've got this in place. This looks good. This looks good. Really, really strong in your marketing. Really, really to the point. Don't make it fluffy. Don't make it airy. You can still have soft words in it to attract the feminine aspect there, but it needs to be really, really clear. And look, I get this in how I look at things. Okay, I'll explain to you. I wanted to create a workshop. There was this shop that does art framing, and they have a room, and they're starting to hire out their room for workshops. Now, we've looked at. I had a look at it, and it looks beautiful. It looks lovely. It's a beautiful setting, a beautiful area. And they sent me their flyer to say about the room hire. So you can have room hire in that you can have it hired with this food and this drink at this much a head, and you have to have a minimum of 10, or you can do it in a lower budget with this food, this type of food, this drink, and that includes the room hire, or you can just have a flat room hire. Now, it was really expensive. I just thought it was ridiculously expensive. $45 a head for a small platter and a drink, to me, was ridiculous. Like I can't justify that. $200 for 3-hour hire, also to me, for a very small space, was ridiculous as well. But what they didn't do in their marketing, and what you need to do in your marketing, is when you send out a flyer like that, somebody's interested. When you send out a flyer like that, put down other aspects. You can have those prices, but put down other aspects. I sort of said to them, look, I don't see value in that because I don't know what else is involved in it. And they said, oh, we're sorry that you don't see value in it. We will share this to all our community and rah, rah, rah. Well, I didn't know that you could share that to your community. I didn't know you had a weekly newsletter that's going out there. I didn't know that you did a weekly marketing on your channels. And so it's all that information I need, and that's that masculine understanding of it that I need before I will say yes to that proposal. And that's what you need to be looking at when you're doing your marketing, when you're looking at how you want to engage people. Be really dot points, yes, you get this. Yes, you get that. Yes, if I can't do the catering, we can get catering for you. And, give them all those options so they can't say no. Give them everything. And I don't mean give them everything. You know what I mean. But give them all those options, because these ladies, you know, that beautiful flyer, everything was beautiful, but it wasn't concrete. It wasn't functional. It wasn't direct and masculine enough for me to make a business decision on it. That's what you need to look at. And you're going to have people that go, oh my God, I just love it, and fall in love with that place. And it doesn't matter what you do, because they're going to want to hire it. You know, they're just going to fall in love. That's fine. It's those other areas, because those people that fall in love with it, they're fine. They're gonna do it no matter what. But it's those other areas that you need to look at where you haven't been able to engage with people too much, and so it's all in the detail of it. So make sure you get that in there. You've got 4 main areas there of marketing that you can look at, and it could be as basic as, say, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I don't know, you know, something to that effect. I don't know what you've got where you are, but you know, you've got 4 main areas of marketing there that you need to get an understanding of and decide where you want to go with that one. So that is your attraction. Okay, be very, very clear on your attraction. Really to the point. Like that. To the point. Okay, very to the point. Now, what's next? The next is colors, which are our emotions. All right. So we're looking at, remember we talked about this pink down here about, you know, coming into your journey, your stem coming into it. So when I see that, I know it's not red, but that's the sort of the why I said make sure you got your legalities right, everything legal right, because I can see that is a situation there. Red to me is almost like a warning. Even though it's sort of a pinky, but I see that as a little bit of a warning, just to sort of say, make sure you get everything in place. Make sure you've got insurance on the place. Make sure you've got all that sort of side to it. And that's how you're going to get there. That's part of the journey. That's just as important as everything else. When we look at orange, I look, orange has always been a spiritual direction for me. That's sort of where I go. There's other areas we can look at with orange. So it can be enthusiasm, ambition. Oh, yeah, ambition. And when you look at how pointy that is and how direct it needs to be, it needs to cater. The attraction needs to cater for other people's ambition if you want them to hire the hall, or other people's ambition if you want them to come to your event. Okay, so we start to look at different things like that. The other part to orange is curiosity, is spirituality. So we've got all that, but be on point with it. I know a lot of the spiritual things that people talk about, they do tend to get a little bit woo-woo. They do tend to go a little bit off tangent. Keep it on point. I mean, the reason why we're doing spiritual development, the reason why I get into intuition is because it's structured. It's something that I can actually create that's structured. It's on point. It helps you do this. It achieves this. It gives you that. You know, you're really getting it on point to help people. I mean, that's probably 101 on marketing, and I do apologize if I'm just, you know, saying stuff like that. But it's really clear that your intuition is telling you to do that. Purple, of course, I see purple. I see it as prosperity. It is actually a very, it's wealth color, it's prosperity color, but it is also a royal color. Purple's always been a royal color. I always see it as spiritual as well. So if you imagine, you've got 2 very spiritual colors here in it, and this I would call this your, I mean, they could be petals, but I'm thinking they're more like the heart center. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that, because I can't see. That could just be the heart center. If I can't remember what mine have got, my bird of paradise. I haven't looked at them that much. But yeah, purple I see as wealth, as regal, you know, very, very that way, and very spiritual, because we look at the higher chakras in that aspect as well. So, you know, you could be selling spirituality, absolutely, but make it very clear and make it very, very direct. Okay, make it on point. It really needs to be, everything's got to be on point. So if you're talking about, for example, yoga, make sure it is on point. If you're barn is about spirituality and you're going to introduce yoga, make sure you bring in the spiritual side of yoga, whether it's meditation, whether it's movement, whether, whatever it is. If your barn is about personal growth and you're going to do yoga, make sure you bring in personal growth, how yoga can help you with your personal growth. Always bring it back to the point, okay? And that's the point is why you're doing that barn. That's your why, okay? It's all got to come back to that and got to be really, really on point. The center is your love, your passion, your drive. And again, I can't really see if the purple is actually your heart center or not. So whether that's part of your attraction for your petals or whether that's part of the heart center, you have to get that little bit of an understanding. It's sort of blending in because here it doesn't look like it's coming from the center. There it could be, but that one doesn't, and that one could be. So again, it's not really, really clear. And when we don't see a heart center that's really, really clear, like a lot of roses you won't see the heart. You'll actually know it's there, but you won't see it. It means that that isn't really important at this particular stage. So when we're having a look at, say, a financial goal, you'll often find that you won't have a heart center because you haven't got your heart in the financial aspect. Yet if you turned around and said, you want a beautiful house, you could have your heart set in that. You have to have money to get a beautiful house. Well, no, you don't always have to have money to get a beautiful house. And that's the difference. So a financial goal may not have a heart center because you may not have that love for it, but it's the love that the finances will bring for you. And a lot of people have financial goals because financial goals are security. And there's three main areas that we spend our money on. One is security. And that's really, really important. Aesthetics is another one. And travel, is it? Enjoyment. I can't remember anyway. But security is really, really important. I did a blog on that, so I should remember that. But anyway, security is really important. And that's why finance can be have a lot of goals for finance, but you might not always have a heart center in it because it's might not really be attached to your heart. But when you start to think about finance, let's face it, when we think about finance, we don't really want money. We want what money can provide for us. If I said to you, I can give you all the money in the world, but you're not allowed to spend it, it means nothing. And that's sort of what we're looking at with the heart center. You don't have to have your heart in it, okay? You don't have to have your heart in it. If you've got all structure and everything else in it and it's really, really particular and to the point, then it will all come through. So if it was a financial goal, it will still come through. You don't have to have that passion in it, in that side of it. Because you've got to be motivated, but you don't have to have passion. That is everything in yours. Now, the only other aspect I would look at, and we have extra notes, is we can look at water, and we can see that there's water there, which they're emotions, okay? And we can look at, you can look at other things. You can look at light, you can look at thorns, different things like that. But in your image, there is a lot of water. There's a lot of moisture in there, okay? And we can see that all over the place. So there could be a few tears shed as you're creating this, okay? There could be a few tears shed. But again, that's part of the learning process as well. That's part of it. We'll see here where you may be expressing a few of those tears. You're going to be doing it with the support of the family or with that support. So they've got you covered. You may find a little bit happening too when you've got the marketing side of it or attraction side of it. Somebody could say something that, just don't take it all to heart, okay? This is all part of the growth and the part of that area. But the funny thing is, as you're doing that, this other goal that's coming up in the back, that's got a few tears attached to it too, but you're going to be doing it through here. So this is going to be the main area, and that will naturally just occur in the background. So, Kimberly, that is your flower goal. That is your goal, hopefully for your barn. I hope I got it right. I've had quite a few lately, so it is quite challenging remembering them all. But anyway, that's your goal. If you do want to share it with anybody, please feel free to do so if it's not too personal, because usually I don't use names or anything when I'm doing them, unless it's directly for somebody. If you do want to share them and they do want to contact me, they can contact me and get their own flower reading at intuitivenature.com.au. So www.intuitivenature.com.au. That's where you'll find me. And they can book up their own flower reading. Now, yours was just the video. On some of them, I actually type it out as well, but I'm not doing that for you. Sorry. I don't really know whether you need it because you're getting enough here and you get more this way. You'd only get dot points as I type it out. So that's me. Have a great one. Thank you again for being on the podcast. I hope you enjoy it. If anybody else wants to listen to it, it is on the Voice of Intuition podcast or web TV show. All right. I'm saying bye for now. I hope you have a great week and